Hi, Mount Vernon. This is Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard, and we are back with another edition of Sundays with Shawyn Update. We are asking that you take a moment right now to please share this broadcast, share it on your page, because we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. There are a lot of updates that are very important. We really need people to pay attention and share this information with your friends and your family and your neighbors, so that everyone can have the information. We're going to talk very honestly about some of the real challenges that we have right now, but we're also going to give a lot of information about services and programs that are available. Look, back on March 15th, when we called a state of emergency here in Mount Vernon, all of us thought maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And here we are now, 5 months later, and we are still dealing with the impact of COVID. We're dealing with such something that is unprecedented, that none of us have ever seen in our lifetime. Um, Residents, neighbors, school districts, elected officials, governors, presidents, no one has ever had to deal with a crisis like this, something that has changed our life and done it in such a fashion that has lasted for a long time. We've had blackouts, we've had hurricanes, we've had snowstorms, we've had tornadoes, but this incident has lasted for a while. It's impacted our day-to-day living, it's impacted our quality of life, it's impacted our education, it's impacted our economy, our jobs, and it's also really impacted our mental and our emotional and our social wellness. And why do I say that? Because we've lost so much over these last few months. We've lost friends and family members. Many have been affected by COVID, whether it's been the loss of a family member or you've been positive yourself and had to deal with health issues. Many people have been impacted by loss of work and wages, housing, a lot of the freedoms that we took for granted, being able to go to the movies, being able to go to the mall, being able to go to our house of worship, where we relieve a lot of our stress, being able to engage in social activities. So much of that has changed. And I know so many people are feeling like you're at the point that you're about to break, and everything, every little thing feels like it's just one more straw on the back of a broken camel that is about to break even more. So tonight, hopefully we can give you some information and provide some answers for you. There will be some things that you will agree with me with, and there will be some things that you will not agree with me with. But the one thing that I have to do is make decisions based on the information that is available to me, based on the entire needs of a community and not just one segment. And I pray that you trust me enough as a leader to make the hard decisions. And if you don't agree with me and trust me to make the hard decisions, then I pray that we'll be able to disagree in a way that is respectful and does not continue to tear at the very fiber and essence of our community. And so with that, I'm asking that you please take out a moment to share this video, and let's get started. So where are we right now? Here in Mount Vernon, we have had no COVID deaths in over 3 weeks, and that is something we are very excited about. We've had no COVID deaths. We are averaging less than 5 cases of COVID a week. That's less than 1 a day. Those people who are testing positive, we're working with the county and Family Services of Westchester to provide contact tracing and provide services to those who are testing positive, so that while they are quarantining and their families are isolating, that they still have their food, they have their medication, they have access to medical care, all of those, and that they have the social, mental, and emotional supports that they need to stay at home and to shelter in place until such a time that they're no longer infectious or that they no longer have to isolate. Now, with that being said, we see all across the country, and including here in New York, that there are places and amongst populations that the numbers are starting to climb again in our local region, and that's with young people under the age of 30. I need for you, as much as you might be tired of staying at home and you miss your friends, we need to make sure that when you're out and you're hanging in public and you're going into bars and restaurants, that you're having cookouts in your backyards, and that you're hanging out with your friends, that you're still respecting social distancing, that you're wearing your mask, that you're sanitizing. Look, I had a birthday party with a friend yesterday. We had a rooftop event. The occupancy was for 150 people. We had less than 20 people there. We were able to socially distance and have a good time. So you can still go out and do things, but we're asking that you do it in small groups as opposed to large groups where there's much greater risk for infection, as well as you do it outside where there's less risk of infection. And also it provides you more opportunity to socially distance. We know that people have what we are calling quarantine fatigue and isolation fatigue, and everyone wants to get back to life as normal. But as we see in so many of our southern states and our western states that opened up too quickly, and without making sure that the spread of the virus was under control, that the numbers have just skyrocketed and they've had to go backwards and closing down businesses and doing things of that nature. That's not something that we want to do. We've seen here in Westchester and other communities, small clusters start to develop. And with contact tracing and enforcement, they've been able to manage those. And, you know, we don't even want to see clusters developing. We want to really keep this thing managed. We can't eliminate it. There's not a vaccine right now. And even if there's a vaccine, there's a lot of people who say they don't like to take vaccines, and it's going to take a while to get those vaccines out. So the best thing that we can do right now is manage the spread of COVID, and that's by alternating our actions and making sure that we're still following social distancing. So if you're paying attention to the news, and I pray that everyone, you may not like news because people say when they watch the news, it's just so much bad information and it makes them sad, but we still have to keep ourselves abreast of what's happening. So the unemployment that many have enjoyed, the extra $600 of stimulus unemployment that you've been receiving for weeks and months now, is scheduled to end Friday. This is a federal government stimulus package and stimulus issue. This extra $600 a week is scheduled to end on Friday. Right now, we're not sure if they're going to be able to pass another bill in time to extend it. So we want our residents to understand and pay attention that the extra help that you have been getting for the last few months may be coming to an end. It may be interrupted. We're just not sure how long it's going to be interrupted, but we need you to pay attention to that. I know that we've put a link in our comment section for you to look and stay up to date with information around that, but please pay attention and be prepared for that shift of possibly getting the $600 a week that you've enjoyed, for that to end right now. There is also COVID rent relief being offered by the state of New York. And so if you've had a decrease in your income or there's been an increase in your rent since March, you'll be able to apply for COVID rent relief from the state of New York. It's very, very critical that you pay attention to this. This is a very short window for you to apply. You can only apply up until the 30th, which is Thursday of this week. So it came out last week. We put posts up to share that information. But if you are in need of rental assistance to help cover the costs of your rent from March through July, please make sure that you click onto the link, that you follow the link, and that you immediately apply for rent assistance from the New York State Department of Housing and Community Renewal. They have a good amount of money, but not an endless amount of money right now. And those who complete the applications early and are diligent in handing in whatever paperwork or responding to whatever questions they might have for you, you stand the best chance of getting it. There is so much out here that many are trying to do on a state, a county, and a local level, and sometimes even on a federal level to provide some relief. But we need to make sure that people have the information. So please share this information with your friends and family who might be eligible so that they can take advantage of this assistance and bring relief. The playgrounds, we've had people ask us about our playgrounds. Mount Vernon has 13 playgrounds, and all 13, well, 10 of our playgrounds are open right now. 3 of them are closed. The 3 playgrounds that are closed right now are closed due to needed repair. And those playgrounds that are closed right now are Adams Street, what many refer to as Cool Out Park over on 7th Avenue between the fire station and the Dole Center, and Ben Gordon Playground. Those three playgrounds right now are closed due to trip and slip hazards, as well as to some broken equipment. We are in the process of working with HUD to pull down monies so that those parks can be repaired and be reopened for the community. But there are 10 other parks throughout the city of Mount Vernon that are open and available to use for our children and families to go and play. Baseball, we are working on bringing back the baseball season in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Baseball is a low risk sport. Based on our phase 4 reopening schedule, baseball and soccer and gymnastics are low risk sports. And so baseball services will be coming back to you very soon. Stay on the lookout on our CMVNY, our mayor pages, as well as our Department of Recreation page. You can also call 914-665-2420, which is the Department of Recreation, and ask them also more about the baseball season. Now, insofar as football and basketball, those are contact sports, which are much higher risk. And right now, we have not opened those programs as it is. So whether it is the Jets or the Razorbacks or the adult football leagues, those leagues are not open. They're not sanctioned right now. They're not having practices because those are contact sports that run a much higher risk of spreading COVID. And also for the same reason, we here in Mount Vernon have chosen not to put the basketball hoops and rims back up right now. Yes, I know New York City has done it, and Yonkers has theirs up, and New Rochelle has theirs up as well. White Plains does not have theirs up. I haven't paid attention to the other communities, but in Mount Vernon, where we know we are maroon and gold and we bleed basketball and we're basketball champions, we have not yet put our basketball rims up. Why? Because it is a high contact sport. You're in each other's faces. We don't necessarily have anyone to monitor these activities for us at the playground, and we need to reduce the risk of COVID. We are a very densely populated urban community. Yes, New Rochelle and Yonkers and New York City are densely populated, but one thing that they have that we don't have right now is fully operating hospitals with emergency rooms that are fully functioning and ICU units. While Mount Vernon Hospital is open, our ICU unit is not open. We do not have the capacity as a city to deal with a COVID outbreak. The capacity that we had in March and April has been reduced with the closure of the ICU unit and the telemetry units at Mount Vernon Hospital. So that makes our community a little different. Is that something that we want? No. Is it the reality that we are dealing with? Yes. And so the same energy that people are upset about basketball courts being closed, I hope that you use that same energy and come out and fight with us to keep Mount Vernon Hospital open. It's not about just keeping the hospital open in its current condition. It's about keeping the hospital open and transforming it so that we can have a first-class hospital that's providing comprehensive health care to everyone here in the city of Mount Vernon. So the other thing that I'm going to go to now, which has been a really big issue, is alternate side of the street parking. Alternate side of the street parking is something that we suspended back in March to provide assistance and support, because people were home. And there was not a lot of parking. And so what happened when we put alternate side of the street parking into effect? Like we just said in the beginning, we thought maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at the most. We made decisions based on the information that we had at that time. Unfortunately, it has been 4.5 months that alternate side of the street parking, we suspended it for about 3 months. We re-engaged and reenacted alternate side of the street parking right after Memorial Day. We did not necessarily start ticketing people at any great level Until about 2 weeks ago, we were trying to give people some time and a little bit of grace period. But we need to clean our streets. Yes, it is an inconvenience. I understand that. I also have to move my cars, and we're looking for alternate side. We're looking to move our cars tonight because we don't want to have to do it tomorrow. So it is very challenging. We're not looking to ticket people to raise revenue for the city of Mount Vernon. But let me tell you, and let's be clear, let's talk about the comprehensive challenge. Alternate side of the street parking for less than a year has been at 8 o'clock. I mean, at 9 o'clock. Traditionally, it was at 8 o'clock. Why was alternate side of the street parking always enacted at 8 a.m.? Because we have a street sweeper unit that operates in our downtown business areas and in our industrial areas from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. So from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., we have about 5 sweepers, if they're all working and if they're all in service, to clean all of our industrial and our business and our commercial zones from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Then they take an hour, breakfast, lunch, whatever you want to call it. And then from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, their responsibility is to clean the residential neighborhoods, south side on certain days, north side on the other days. That is a lot of work for 5 street sweepers and 100,000 people. It's a lot of work to do. And so, yes, I do understand that you're being inconvenienced 2 out of 7 days a week, and that you're being asked to get up an hour earlier and move your car, but we need to clean the streets. Just as much as people are complaining about alternate side of the street parking, everyone wants clean streets. So it's like, you can't have everything and not be willing to give up anything. We're dealing with, yes, people are home, so that means more garbage to collect. We're dealing with people who are hanging out because they really have nowhere to go. And there's a culture of disrespect in our community, disrespect from business owners, disrespect from people who visit our community, and even disrespect from our residents, because people just arbitrarily throw garbage in the street instead of using garbage cans that are there. And if there's not a garbage can that's there, you could hold on to your cup or your paper, you could hold on to your mask or your gloves for a few moments. But people are just, I'm gonna wait for the sirens to pass, give me a second. People are just throwing garbage anywhere. And so that puts extra garbage in the streets. We have business owners who are not sweeping in front of their business and cleaning in front of their businesses and allowing people to hang in front of their businesses. We are going to increase our enforcement around our business owners keeping their properties clean and making sure that they're just not allowing people to hang out in front of the businesses, which is adding garbage. And so when we have garbage in the streets and when we have garbage in the sewer areas, the other thing that happens in Mount Vernon that is not a new issue. These are not new issues, people, so let's not act like they are. Our sewers have been broken and damaged and crumbling for years. And so the more garbage we have thrown on our streets, the less we're able to get to the garbage in the curb areas and clear that away. The more garbage that we have sitting on our sewer grates, the more garbage we have in our catch basins, the more that our sewers are backing up and cannot deal with the rainwater and the storm water, and the more sewage is backing up into people's houses. So it's a domino effect. Yes, we understand that you are being inconvenienced because you have to get up and find a place to move your car, or you're being asked to move your car the night before and find a place. Everyone is being inconvenienced. But for the sake of healthy, for the sake of sanitary conditions in our community, and for our ability to be able to get to all of the streets and do street sweeping, we have to move the alternate side of the street parking back to 8 o'clock. It is not being enforced until September 7th, right after Labor Day, because we still have to make sure all of the signage in the city reads the same thing. When it was moved to 9 o'clock, a lot of the signage was never changed. And so we are making sure that we have enough time to change the signage. We're making sure that we give everyone a heads up. And we're hoping in September that we're seeing some changes in our community with people being able to go back to work. But you are being given ample time. And a lot of time, DPW is not even writing tickets until after 9:30. And so we can either make this a crisis and fall out over it, or we can find a way as a community to come together and make sure that we're moving our cars, making sure that we have the ability to sweep our streets, that we're keeping our sewers and our catch basins clean, and that we're not having the continual sewage backup that we've had for so long. While we are repairing our sewers, we need your help. This is everyone's responsibility. All of us are tired. All of us are frustrated. All of us have been inconvenienced by COVID. The city is struggling because we have declining tax revenues and other revenues, but yet we are still trying to maintain an essential level of services in the community. We are asking that you work with us. You don't have to agree with me. I respect that. But we will have to abide by alternate street side of the street parking when it does go back into effect on September 7th at 8 a.m. You can call it political, you can call it what you want. I'm calling it facts. This is not spin. It's what we have to do, and we can agree to disagree on it, and we're going to move forward. So the next thing we have to talk about tonight is, as our businesses continue to open and as we try and manage COVID, we know a lot of people are using the beauty salons and the barbershops and the nail salons. And so we have partnered with the New York State Chamber of Commerce around beauty and barber salon care. We're asking that our beauty shops and our barber salon, our beauty shops, our barbers, our nail salons join us on Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. For a personal care business update. So we want to make sure that our personal care businesses are operating at a high level of safety, especially around COVID. If you go into a lot of the beauty and the barber salons, aside from their licenses from the state, you should see certificates that said COVID-19 barbicide completion, meaning that they've gone and they've taken different classes to ensure that they're operating at a safe level. If you're going into businesses, whether they're beauty salons or they're barbershops or they're food places, bodegas, restaurants, clothing stores, retail shops, whatever businesses you're going into, and if they're not honoring the social distancing, if they're not enforcing face masks, then please take out the moment to call our Fire Alarm Bureau at 914-665-2626. 914-665-2626. Our fire alarm dispatchers will take the information. They will share that with our different departments, whether it's the building department, DPW, the mayor's office, some of our fire inspectors and our code enforcement officers, and our team will go out and they will investigate your complaints and we will address your concerns. But we're asking that you call 914-665-2626. There are people who man that phone 24 hours a day. I'm going to say 26 hours a day with the 2626, but there are people that answer those phones 24 hours a day. They will be able to get that information to us. Hitting us up on the inbox, putting something on your Facebook page is not the most efficient way of addressing these concerns. But if you call that 24-hour hotline, again at 914-665-2626, we'll be able to log your complaint. We'll pass it off to the appropriate department, and we'll go out and investigate, and we'll do education and enforcement as necessary. So please, again, 914-665-2626. And Malcolm, if you could just go back to the graphic with the education for the beauty and barber salons and the personal care businesses. We just want to make sure, again, that people saw that information. And again, we'll post these flyers in the comments. But on Tuesday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. At the CMVNY Facebook page, we will have a webinar talking about mandatory and suggested guidelines for beauty businesses. licensing. We'll also be talking to these businesses about how you can access capital and capital funding to help you with your small businesses and maintain those. Professional services, legal services, insurance, accounting. We want to make sure that we are supporting all areas of our small businesses and being able to stay open during these very financial troubling times. So please, if you have a friend or a relative or a neighbor or a frenemy who has a personal care business, or if you have one yourself, please share this information with them. The next thing that we'll go to, and Malcolm's going to put up the graphic, we are in census season. The census in Mount Vernon, we are still right below 50% of people in Mount Vernon responding to the census. Us responding to the census as a community is a critical issue. I can't express how critical it is. These census numbers will be with us for the next 10 years. And when we complete our census, we're eligible to apply for and receive federal, state, county, and local assistance for everything from education to road repair, to bridges, to schools, to hospitals, to food programs, youth programs, senior programs, employment training, Medicaid, Medicare, and then also it allows us to be politically represented. We don't want to diminish our political power or our financial power by not responding to the census. And so on this Wednesday, July 29th, we will be doing phone banking to reach out to those who have not yet completed their census. We need volunteers. We're really excited. Last time we had the National Latino elected officials who were working with us around it. This time we have our union brothers and sisters who will be doing a phone bank for us. So if you're interested in volunteering, then please register by mail at MV Census 2020 at CMVNY, MV Census 2020 at CMVNY.com. We need volunteers to help us reach out and get everyone who needs to complete the census to complete the census. We will also be reaching out to our consul generals and our general counsels of a lot of our Latin American, Caribbean, and African nations, and all of our foreign nations. We have a large immigrant community here in Mount Vernon. We have many people who are not registered as citizens here, but they are living here. You still count. We still need you to count. We still need you to complete the census. This is not connected to ICE. This is not connected to immigration enforcement or anything like that. We need to count you. We need to make sure that we get your numbers so that we can provide the services that you need. We do not want you to continue to be afraid of ICE and anything of that nature and feel that answering the census is going to be connected to deportation. This information is kept private, and it's critical information that we need to get services. So the next issue that we have here, time is moving forward, is our grab and go. So tomorrow at 12 noon at the Dole Center, there will be a grab and go in partnership with Feeding Westchester. So if you're hungry, please come on out to the Dole Center tomorrow. It's on 6th Avenue in Mount Vernon. It's at 256 South 6th Avenue, I believe, between 4th Street and 3rd Street is the Dole Center. And we have our grab and go food giveaway. Malcolm, do you have that graphic? Okay, here it comes. So yes, we have a grab and go tomorrow at the Dole Center. Yes, I was correct. 250 South 6th Avenue. With decreasing income, with people being home and not having the children eat breakfast and lunch at school, we know that there are a lot of families who are still hungry and who are, because of declining income. And even if you don't have declining income, getting free food can be of great assistance for you and your family. It is very nutritious. We have fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as non-perishable items that we give away each time we have a grab and go. So please come out tomorrow and participate in the grab and go. Well, we just talked about feeding kids in schools. Many have been asking us about school reopening, and will school be open in September? I reached out and I spoke to Dr. Hamilton last week, and the school district and the school board are finalizing their plan for this school year. They will be presenting it to the board. They'll be having their meeting on Tuesday, And if that plan is ratified, they will be sharing that information with the community on Wednesday. So on Tuesday, the school board will be meeting and finalizing their plan and voting on it. And on Wednesday, they'll share more information with the community as to whether or not schools are opening or not. So please stay tuned, not only to our Facebook pages and social media pages, but also pay attention to the Mount Vernon City School District's social media and their web pages. And I'm sure Dr. Hamilton will be sending out some type of robocall, but we are working together to see how we can open up our schools safely. Schools might look very differently. We know that some school districts are going virtual online straight. We know that some are trying to bring people back fully. And then we know other places are doing a hybrid model where they're bringing kids in part-time and teaching them online part-time. I'm not sure which one we're doing here in Mount Vernon right now, but please stay tuned and know that, again, we're making our decisions based on the science and based on the health and safety needs of everyone here in the community. So another thing, another challenge that we have been having here in Mount Vernon, and none of this is new, but all of it is very real and it's coming to a head, is we have not purchased in a very long time things like police cars, fire engines, garbage trucks. And so a lot of our public safety equipment is very old and beginning to fail. And so we've seen that we are down almost half of our fleet of garbage trucks. We have 4 garbage trucks, hopefully, that will be arriving this week so we can get them back on the road. But we are down from 3 ladder trucks in the fire department down to 1. The ladder trucks are the big aerial trucks that allow us to fight fires from above. We have monies set aside through our planning department and community development block grant, and we've put in an order for a new fire engine. We are pulling that money down. We are depending on our comptroller, Deborah Reynolds, to transfer that money when it is sent to the city of Mount Vernon to the Urban Renewal Agency so that we can pay for that fire truck and get that fire truck here. We're also waiting on $650,000 to come from HUD so that it can be transferred from the city to Urban Renewal, and that's for the repair and the upgrade of our playgrounds. And we're waiting on another $3.3 million that is coming from HUD to be downloaded and sent to the city of Mount Vernon, and again, transferred by our comptroller Reynolds to the Urban Renewal Agency. And that money will help us purchase ambulances, provide emergency financial assistance to residents who are fighting against eviction and utility disconnection due to decreased income around COVID. It will allow us to provide loans to some of our small businesses here in Mount Vernon that are struggling, and assist and support with continued and expanded feeding efforts here in the city of Mount Vernon. So since January 17th, our comptroller has told HUD that she will not receive money from HUD, but right now we have millions of dollars in our HUD coffers waiting to come to Mount Vernon, and that money must be transferred. Please know that the mayor's office, in conjunction with the city council, are working to ensure that our comptroller cannot continue to send money that is for the citizens of Mount Vernon back to HUD that is needed for critical issues. This is not political. I know people are tired of hearing about the comptroller and the mayor and the council. This is not political. This is real. We have spoken to HUD. They said they have never seen anything like this before. Who turns back millions of dollars that is needed for public safety, housing, food, critical services around domestic violence and youth employment and job training and supporting small businesses? No one who is rational and professional does that, but that is what we are dealing with. And you might have to take exception with me use the word rational, but everyone asks me, why is this happening? And I cannot give you a rational answer other than the fact that it is happening, and it is not only baffling us here locally, but it is baffling HUD on a state and a federal level as well. So Malcolm, if you can put up one of the quick solutions that we found for having less fire aerial trucks available to us. I want to give a big shout out to New York City Fire Department, as well as our Mayor de Blasio, because we reached out, our Chief Odindo reached out to their chief, and I reached out to Mayor de Blasio. And on Friday, they delivered a aerial fire truck to our 3rd Street Fire Station for us to have for use. We have a lot of tall buildings, we have multiple family houses, and we must have proper, secure, and reliable aerial fire trucks to use. Mount Vernon, by far, has more structure fires than any of the communities in Westchester. We have a lot of old properties, we have tall buildings, and having proper fire equipment that will not fail on us and that we can use is very, very important. So thank you so much to New York City Fire Department and Mayor Bill de Blasio for hearing our request and answering it speedily. Please know, like I said, we are using our CDBG monies, which we are drawing down from HUD, and they will be sending to us. And as long as the controller transfers that money for these critical public safety upgrades, we will get a new fire truck here in Mount Vernon in the next few weeks. So Memorial Field, a lot of people are asking questions about Memorial Field. We will be making an announcement hopefully by tomorrow as to the groundbreaking date for Memorial Field, which we believe will be this week. But since the county is leading that, I just need to let them make the announcement on that, and we will update you on that by Monday or Tuesday, tomorrow or Tuesday. But there will be a groundbreaking of Memorial Field this week. We put the bids out twice since I've been here. We put the bids out, the county put the bids out in March, but due to COVID, we did not have the response that we were looking for Memorial Field bids coming in. And so we rebid that whole project back in June. July 15th was the deadline. We have received the bids back into the county. The contractors have been, or the master contractor, the overall contractor has been selected, and we will have a groundbreaking on this week at Memorial Field. Another issue, Malcolm is sending me things right now in the chat. Another question is people are asking about the Department of Transportation, the New York State Department of Transportation raising the bridge over on Lincoln Avenue. So that's a project that the state started planning back in 2016. I remember when I was planning commissioner being in some of those initial conversations. And so, yes, they, like the 3rd Street Bridge was replaced that goes over the Hutchinson Parkway. All of those bridges were built too low for today's time. And the regulations say that the State Department of Transportation has to raise those bridges. So they raised the 3rd Street Bridge, and now they're raising the Lincoln Avenue Bridge. I know what many people are concerned about is we've had these beautiful not brick, but stone bridges that really add to the character of our community. And so we're afraid of losing some of that beauty. And another part of the beauty that we have lost right now are incredible trees that we had on both sides of the bridge, on the Pelham side of the bridge and on the Mount Vernon side of the bridge. We would have liked to have sat down with the Department of Transportation and had more conversations with them as we did around the 3rd Street Bridge. That did not happen. And yes, the trees were torn down, but be rest assured, we will be working with the Department of Transportation to replace those trees. They're gone. We cannot make them go back right now, but we can ensure that we will be working with the state to replace those trees. It says, what's going on with property and school tax assessments? They were mailed out extremely late beyond the appeal deadline. Okay. Well, school taxes are now being handled by the school district. They have taken over the collection of school taxes. As they have stated, they were not receiving timely payments from the controller's office to the school district, so they're taking those over. We have been closed with COVID. We did do property tax assessments, and for people to challenge property tax assessments, we did a lot of that online. We had virtual conversations with people who were challenging their property tax assessments. And I think we've almost had a record number of people who we have assisted through property tax assessments. So you can reach out to our assessor, Stephanie Vanderpool, here at City Hall if you have any more questions about that. Stoplights as well as street signs have been an issue in Mount Vernon for a very long time. We have old street stop signs, and old street stoplights. Traffic lights are very old. We are working to allocate some monies, again, from CDBG, which are HUD monies, for the replacement. But one of the things that we still do not have available here in the city of Mount Vernon is the opportunity to go out and bond. So those are capital repairs and capital replacements that we are very well aware of. We have a small traffic bureau that we will be working with to fix the traffic lights, but it's hard to keep fixing traffic lights that are just aging. But we are aware that they're out. We are aware we drive the same streets that you're driving. I wish I was the fairy godmother and I had a wand that I could wave and make it all go away, but we have to address these issues bit by bit, and that is what we are doing. So continue to let us know if there are stoplights out in your area, as well as we know that just lighting in Mount Vernon has to be improved. We have a laundry list of challenges that are not new, but have been here 5, 10, 15, 20 years that we're not ignoring. We will be working with the City Council to put together a capital projects board. That's something that we have not seen here in the past 10 years in Mount Vernon. And so we've kicked the can so long that we're now breaking our foot on the mountain of challenges that are very real, that are very urgent, and that have been ignored for a long time. So we are going to address them bit by bit. We're asking for your patience and your cooperation as we try and dismantle the mountain of challenges that we all know that we have here in the community. And Mr. Dwyer is asking whatever happened with the audit from the state. So that audit from the state should be released to the public within the next 30 days. Within the next 30 days, we should see the audit coming from the state. We're working with the state to finalize it. It is a financial policies and oversight audit. They're still doing some auditing around internal control procedures, but the first report from the New York State Comptroller's Office, we expect to be out within the next 30 days as we're continuing to work with the state comptroller to address some of the issues that they found and that we've reported. Trying to see, is there anything else? I guess one of the last things that I want to speak about while we're waiting for questions to come in is we swore in 2 new deputy police commissioners. And so I'm asking that you help us to give a great round of welcome to our deputy police commissioner, Ernest Morales III, who comes to the city of Mount Vernon with 30 years of experience in the New York Police Department. He is well decorated, well experienced, has background in transit, housing, narcotics, internal affairs, community policing, just a wealth of information and a wealth of experience. He's highly, highly regarded in New York City. So many of them turned out for his swearing in up here. I had an opportunity to do a community walkthrough with him on Friday. He was very engaging with the communities. Malcolm, if you could put the picture back up. And then we also have our Deputy Police Commissioner, Jennifer Lackard. Jennifer Lackard, Deputy Police Commissioner Jennifer Lackard, is someone who we have seen working in the community around criminal justice reform, bail reform, access to speedy trials, access to discovery information, prison reentry, mental health, housing, substance abuse, community partnerships to improve public safety. So she will be overseeing our Civilian Complaint Review Board, the implementation and expansion of 21st century policing here in Mount Vernon. It was started back in 2016. It was dropped by the prior administration, and we're looking to really reenact 21st century policing here. She'll be working with our mental health and our substance abuse and our housing and our domestic violence providers to really make sure that we have strong connections with our Human Services Committee community, because everything does not need to be handled by police, but some issues can be resolved by working with our social workers and our crisis intervention managers to answer certain calls, but also providing a lot of additional training to our police department. So when they are engaging people who are mentally ill, who are autistic, who have addictions to alcohol or drugs, who are domestic violence victims, who are homeless, that we make sure that we're doing it with a level of professionalism and information and care and concern, that we continue to expand and improve upon our public safety here in Mount Vernon. So thank you, and a big shout out to our Commissioner Scott, who was just determined that he was going to find the best and the brightest, those who didn't just have credentials, but those who he felt had a heart and a true commitment to ensuring and improving public safety in our community, those who would be committed to building bridges and ensuring that we have transparency, we have oversight of police, that we're engaging the community in a way that makes people feel like policing is changing here in Mount Vernon, that we're keeping our community safe. We know that we had, for about a 3-week period, a rash of homicides here in Mount Vernon. And while we hate to ever have any life lost here in Mount Vernon due to violence, I must say that I'm very proud of our police department, because we've been able to close 80% of those homicide cases that happened already this year. They happened in March and April, and already they've been closed. We only have one outstanding homicide, and our PD, our investigative unit, are working with our county, our state, and our federal law enforcement agencies to continue to gather information and bring that person to justice. We want to be able to give closure to our families. While we can never bring anyone back whose life has been lost at the hands of violence, we want to at least let our families know that you're not forgotten. Our Commissioner Scott, along with our new deputy commissioners and our chief and deputy chief and our investigative units, are working on the cold cases. We know for many years in Mount Vernon that we've had a lot of families who have suffered and who have been very frustrated and whose hearts have been broken because they have not seen any action in the area of solving their loved ones' murders here in Mount Vernon. And so please know, under my administration and under the leadership of Commissioner Scott, there is a renewed sense of commitment to investigating these homicides and bringing those who are responsible to justice. I know that there are many families out there who have lots of questions. Our commissioner and our police department has been reaching out to those families and communicating with them in a way and on a level that they have not been communicated with in a very long time. And so I hope until such a time that we can bring those individuals to justice, that the communication and improved communication is providing you with some level of relief and solace. So Jennifer Lackard, our deputy police commissioner, is watching, and she said, thank you, Madam Mayor. She looks forward to engaging with the community and helping to create systems to protect the great residents of Mount Vernon. One of the things that she said in her speech the other day that was just so telling, she said that protests often happen because people are frustrated with the lack of information, with the lack of representation, with the lack of service, and with abuse. And that's what causes them to protest. And she said she's not looking to wait for people to protest, but that the police department is coming to the community to find out what you want, to find out what you need, and to find out what can be done to build better police community relations. I know that is the sentiment of our police commissioner, Glenn Scott, our deputy commissioners, Lackard and Morales, as well as our chiefs of police. We are ushering in a new culture into the city of Mount Vernon all throughout the community, and we need your help. We need your support. We have a lot of work to do in Mount Vernon. We have a lot of work to do, and it's not just going to be done on the government side. And that is when I ran in the general election, I said forward together, hashtag forward together. That forward together means government, it means community, it means neighborhood associations, the faith-based community, the business community, civic organizations, young, old, white, black, north side, south side, English speaking, non-English speaking, residents, non-residents, wealthy, working class, those who are poor and struggling, strong neighborhoods, neighborhoods that need to be revitalized, all throughout Mount Vernon. We need to come together and work together. There is so much promise and potential in our community, but that promise and potential can only be realized if we work together. I'm not reading a speech. I'm talking to you from my heart because this has been my commitment. Please go back, and if you have the It's Time newsletters that I put out when I was running, look at what we said we wanted to focus on and start judging us from that. Yes, we've had COVID, and that has pushed us back several months, but during that time, we've also been able to do some good things. This is a challenging time, and we're not going to get through this challenging time in our community and in our nation by just turning and trying to tear each other down, but we have to come together even through our differences and our disagreements and different political ideologies and work together. That is the only way that we're going to come out of this stronger. We want to make sure that the services that we provide are equitable. We want to make sure that we're addressing the needs of those who are impoverished, those who are the working class poor, the working class, the middle class, those who are the upper middle class and wealth. We have a full continuum of different people with financial experiences and educational backgrounds here in Mount Vernon, and we are here to serve everyone, regardless of your neighborhood, regardless of your education, regardless of your income, and regardless of whether or not you voted for this administration. We are here to serve you and to support you. Malcolm, if there are no more questions, because I can't see anything other than what you put here, I just want to make sure that I've addressed every concern that we have tonight. Everyone, please stay safe in the hot water, hydrate yourself, pace yourself, check in on friends and neighbors and relatives. Let's check in on our elderly, and let's continue to communicate. Again, alternate side of the street parking is back in effect right now as of 9 a.m., but as of September 7th, it will return. As of September 7th, it will return to 8 a.m. so that from 4 to 7, we will have an opportunity to clean our commercial and business districts. And from 8 to 12, we'll have an opportunity to clean our residential districts and neighborhoods. We need this time to make sure that our street sweepers can get through our community. We have to make sure that we're not just throwing garbage on the ground in our neighborhoods, in our residential neighborhoods, as well as in our business districts. If you see our sewer catch basins are covered, please let us know so that we can get to those areas. We are doing education around with our merchants around how we'll be collecting their garbage and how we expect them to keep their properties. And then after the rounds of education, we will be moving towards enforcement. And so, like I said in the beginning, we will not always agree, but we don't have to disagree disagreeably. We can be classy and respectful about it, but there are some decisions that we have to make as a government to make sure that we are addressing all of the concerns and the continuum of concerns in the city. And I have to make decisions based on that. So everyone, thank you so much. Have a great night. Be well and stay safe. What did you say, Malcolm? Okay.
People were asking about street repaving.
Street repaving. Okay, so street repaving. Again, unfortunately, this goes back to the comptroller. We have a $370,000 street paving bill that has been due to, I believe, PCI since 2018 that our comptroller has failed and refused to pay. They have sued us. They have won against us in court, and still she has yet to pay them. It is hard to get anyone to come in and pave streets or do anything like that when they know they're not going to get paid. It is hard for us to go out and get the materials and the equipment that we might need to do it ourselves. Prior to April, we had $1,986,000 sitting in the New York State Department of Transportation, available for us to pull down for street paving costs. In just a few weeks ago, we were given another $900,000 plus from the state of New York, bringing us up to about $2.7 million in monies that we have available to Mount Vernon for street paving and street repairs. Unfortunately, until the controller pays the $370,000 bill that we have, we're not able to do street paving. We did put a post up last week saying that Con Edison paved Elwood because they were doing work over there. So Con Edison is tasked with paving streets and fixing streets that they've torn up. So, you know, the streets that you will see be paved in the very near future are always going to be connected with Con Ed doing work on those blocks and having to go back in and pave those streets. But right now we have $2.7 million that is locked in the New York State Department of Transportation, waiting for the controller to pay a $370,000 bill that goes back to 2018. I know you're tired of feeling like I'm making excuses to say why we can't do what we do. I'm the mayor, but what I do not control, unfortunately, is the finances of the city. I don't get to write the checks. That is done by the controller. And if things are not paid for, if we do not have vendors who we can go and ask to do work for us, if we cannot purchase equipment, if we cannot purchase supplies, then a lot of what we do here in government absolutely stops and it becomes a challenge. That is what's going on. We're looking at what streets Con Ed has pulled up all throughout our city on the north side and on the south side. Mount Vernon, look, I'm a south side girl. I still live on the south side. We all have our challenges on the south side like we do on the north side. We're not just looking to pave north side and not south side. We have to stop this own division in our community. And let's look at the facts. So we will be looking at what streets Con Ed has pulled up, and we will be ensuring and enforcing compliance on Con Ed's in around the streets that they've torn up. And we already have a paving plan once we can get access to this $2.7 million, because people pay taxes all throughout Mount Vernon. Again, I just want to go back to saying what we said in the beginning. Our COVID numbers are greatly down. We've had no deaths in the past 3 weeks. We have less than 7 new infections on a weekly basis, which averages out to less than 1 a day. And our parks and playgrounds are open, so our kids can go in and enjoy them. We're not able to have a lot of our street fairs and festivals because of state regulations and guidelines, but we are trying to do what we can to make sure our community stays healthy. Mount Vernon, let's continue to work together. Let's continue to pray together. Let's continue to volunteer, and let's continue to figure out how we can continue to push our community forward together on a positive note and on a positive basis. We are Mount Vernon strong. We are Mount Vernon resilient. And I know that together we can accomplish anything that we put our minds together. United we stand, divided we fall. And so let's stand united. Let's not fight over the small things, but let's focus on the big things that the large and small things that we can do together to help transform this community into what we all know it can and it should be. Take care, everyone. Have a blessed night. Appreciate you all. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay cool. Be well.